Hi guys, welcome back to another video in this channel. Today we're going to continue with the Japanese tunnel, and I'm going to be showing you how to implement this little guys right here, this leaf elements, and we're also going to be doing some papers. We're just going to be doing set dressing to get the scene as close to finish as possible. After that, we're just going to be left with probably one more video to add one extra little detail there on textures. So this little part of the process is when we already have something that looks really cool, which by the way, you can check the whole process on the channel, it's there. You can then start doing a little bit of set dressing, and Polyhaven is a great source for free assets that you can use as set dressing. Trees, like pots, like little things right here, like here and there. Like this chair is actually like a great object that we could export as well. And the reason why set dressing is really important is because it will give a little bit more life to the whole thing without us spending as much time, because we're not going to be modeling all of this. Now, however, downloading models is fine as long as they have the commercial license that you're allowed to use, or if you buy them, but you need to be very honest on your portfolio and let people know that some of those models are not yours. Because if you like download this garden hose right here and someone contacts you and they want you to do something similar, you need to be very like honest and be like, oh no, I didn't actually do that, and you should contact the original artist if that's what you're looking for. Okay, another rule of thumb that I have about like downloading models is I don't download any model that I know that I couldn't make myself, because then I feel it's a little bit dishonest to do something with the models that are, well, not mine. So yeah, this is the wheat plant right here that I downloaded. However, the FBX that's on the side is not working properly, so I had to download the Blender file and then select this Blender files right here, save file, export selection, and get it back into Maya. Now here inside of Maya, I'm going to be using the substance like node to texture, this one right here, to build my elements. You can see right here, I downloaded the textures here, and we have the roughness, we have the normal map, we have the diffuse, the ambient occlusion, and an alpha channel. The alpha channel I'm going to be doing manually. So I'm going to hit select, and you can see it didn't find anything. Why not? Because it has the wrong names. So I'm going to have to do this manually. That's the diffuse, that's the normal right there, that's the roughness. You can do that one right there. And we have an ambient occlusion. The ambient occlusion is very simple, but it might help. And I'm going to hit apply. What this will do is it will create a new shader on my hypershade that will automatically connect every single stuff on the AI standard surface thing that I need, which is this one right here. It will connect every single thing, and I'm going to be ready to go. Now, one thing here, what's happening here is it's actually converting all of the textures to TX files. That's why it's like hanging a little bit. I don't know why it does this now automatically, but it's now no big deal. So this right here, I'm going to change the name. I'm going to call this M_width. It's not the bad width, it's just like normal width. So right here, what I need to do is I need to bring in the, the transparency map, right? So here in textures, we have this alpha channel or alpha mask. I'm just going to bring it right here, and I'm going to be using the out color on the opacity. Okay, so if I try to connect this into opacity, there we go. We should have a cutout section. It's going to transfer it or like process it as well, and that should allow me to like generate the result that I want. Now, that's pretty much it. We can go back here to the shader. I'm going to say File, Delete Unused Nodes, or Edit, Delete Unused Nodes, so that we only have the... Oh, wait a second. I need to assign it first. So over here to all my plants, right-click, Assign Existing Material, and we're going to assign the M_width material. Now we can say Edit, Delete Unused Nodes, so that we have a very clean surface right here, a very clean like texture. And you can see the texture right there, okay? Now, I'm going to save the scene. I'm going to save this as a width. And now I'm going to open the Japanese tunnel, which is this one right here. And on this scene, the only thing we need to do is we need to import the elements. We can either import them manually, being like just say file import, which is going to create a copy of the file, or we can reference it in. If we reference it, whatever we do on the original scene will change the scene. By the way, if all of these concepts that I'm saying sound a little bit confusing about importing, referencing, and all that stuff, remember that you can learn a lot about the whole like program, Maya, Blender, and all the different softwares with Skillshare. Hey guys, Abraham here. I just want to remind you guys that we upload all of our courses to Skillshare. Skillshare is this amazing site where you can access a ton of different content to learn, improve, and grow as an artist. We have all of our courses available to watch and learn from right now in Skillshare. You can check the description down here, and Skillshare is offering 1 free month trial to their premium membership. With this membership, you're going to be able to access all of our courses and watch and learn all of the amazing things that we cover with all of the softwares. So, what are you waiting for? Check Skillshare down here below. So now the only thing we need to do over here is say file, and I am going to import them. I'm not going to be referencing. I'm just going to import directly. And this will import not only the little plants that we have, but also the material. Okay, so all of these plants already have their material assigned to them. Let's move them forward, probably make them a little bit bigger because I want to really like showcase. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create like a little collection of plants. So I'm going to have one small one by itself, or sorry, one big one by itself. And I'm going to have one big one and like a small one right here. Let's rotate them a little bit so they're not like collapsing on each other. Let's rotate this a little bit. There we go. That works fine. And I'm going to add a little one right there. There we go. And then I'm going to do another little like bundle with this one's right here. Like this. Again, trying to make sure that they don't overlap as much. And then I'm going to have like a couple of single ones like that. Now, why are these bundles important? Because since we're going to be hand placing all of these things, or several of these things, it might be a little bit easier to do this one. I'm going to send to the pivot point, of course. And let's start. So I'm going to add a little bit more overgrown like things like this guys here on the sidewalk. I'm going to duplicate this guy right here, bring it like close to the wall where we would expect there to be some humidity and water. Careful with the clipping, of course. So I'm gonna move things a little bit there. Just make sure that they don't look weird. And then we can have like this small one right here. I'm gonna have it here on this little like corner. There we go. This one right here. I'm just gonna move it again to that area right there. This bundle right here, I'm gonna combine it, move the center point or the pivot point there, and let's have it like right here on the entrance. Yeah, you can have a little bit of overlap. It's not the end of the world if you do, but you kind of want to make things. You want the things to make sense, right? So, for instance, this guy right here doesn't make sense that it's growing right from the center of the floor. So let's just move it a little bit. I'm gonna duplicate this one right here, have another one right in that corner. And that's it. So now if we check the camera, say panels, look to selected, I have a little bit of like weeds right there. We can add a couple more. So I think having some here on the street might not be a bad idea. It's gonna give the effect of like overgrown stuff, which I think plays nicely. If you guys haven't seen the Last of Us series, oh, you guys are missing out. It's a great series. Really, really cool. Let's do right there. And usually when you have this sort of like plants right there, there's always like one little guy like just like standing at the side, like growing from a weird place. So this guy, I'm just gonna like push it here, and then I'm gonna grab this big bundle again. I'm just looking at the composition, and I'm trying to find like more places for these things to be like right there. See how it feels a little bit empty on this area right here? So I can add one right there. And then I can duplicate this one. Rotate it, of course, so that we are not seeing the exact same effect. Push it a little bit forward. It's going to give me some more depth. There we go. I'm going to do one more here. Again, rotate it a little bit. Push it a little bit over there. And there we go. That's giving us some nice depth over there. Let's save real quick and let's throw in a render to see what we get. I'm expecting to see pretty much the exact same thing, but that definitely, like those elements definitely are going to be breaking up the scene a little bit. We're getting a warning here. It has to do with the displacement, I think. That's fine. It's processing some of the stuff over here. And briefly, we should get, there we go. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful plants. However, as you can see, the shading on the plants is not looking great. We need to figure out why that is. So I'm going to stop this right here. Let's go to perspective. And let's check the material that they have. So they do have their material. The material is looking really, really, really black, really, really dark. And one thing we can do here is, I mean, it could be the illumination that we're using, because I can see a little bit of the green right there. But plants usually benefit quite a bit from having subsurface. So I'm going to go to subsurface here. I'm going to turn the subsurface on. Okay, now what this will mean is I actually need to break the connection on the base color. We're not going to have any base color. Let's go to the material, actually. It's a lot bit easier to do it on this side. Where is it? Width. Let's Control C to get the color back. Nope. Okay, no problem. We can go to the textures over here, and we should have the color somewhere around here. There we go. So with plant alpha, with file 3, file 2. That's going to be a little bit difficult to know which one it is. It has to be file 1, so it's got to be this one. There we go. That's the diffuse. So the diffuse is not going to go on the color anymore. It's now going to go into the subsurface color. Okay. So what that should do now is, if we go back to the render parts, and let's say panels, looker selected. Let's get a little bit closer to the widths so that we can see them. So let's try something like this. What that should do is now light should go through the object, and we should see a little bit more contribution, right? So as you can see right there, this looks a little bit better. Still a little bit too like soft, I would say. They look a little bit better. So what can we do? If we want them to be even more transparent, we can go to the subsurface, and on the scale, we can try increasing the scale quite a bit, so like a 5. What this will do is it will allow more light to jump into the scene, which could help bring things a little bit closer. I'm going to change the radius here, the color of the leaf, and I'm going to go for like a really bright green. I'm also like, I'm not sure. It kind of looks like the thing is like in burst. But then on the render, it looks fine. There we go. So that's looking a little bit better, a little bit too dark still. So let me do a quick test here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab one of these lights. I'm going to duplicate it and make it hit one of my plants right here, because I want to make sure that the contribution of the material is working properly. There we go. So the alpha channel is working fine, as you can see. It's definitely like cutting the width properly. This thing is way too much. Like what's the word? The subsurface is definitely way too much. So I'm gonna bring the scale back to 1. There we go. One thing we can do is on the geometry, we can make this a thin wall geometry. That's going to give us a slightly better effect. So you can see right there, the subsurface is going to change a little bit. We no longer have scale because this is just a thin element. And we have a little bit more light contribution going around that stuff. We can try going back to a white color here on our radius. Oh, actually, we don't even have radius anymore. That's fine. So yeah, I mean, as you can see, thin wall right there is giving us a slightly better result. I do think it's still a little bit too shiny, but unfortunately, the roughness that we have, it's coming directly from a map, right? So we can actually, it didn't change the roughness. The roughness should have been set to utility raw. That should have been the right roughness. And then on the color balance, alpha is set to alpha is luminance. Okay, so what can we do to increase the roughness here? We can go to the hypershade again. And if we intercept the values of the roughness, this is the hypershade thing. A lot of people have been asking about hypershade stuff. This is one of the things that you can do. For instance, there is a node, for instance, like HSV, remap HSV, which remaps hue, saturation, and value. And we can connect the color right here. And on the out color, I'm just going to be exporting the R channel into the roughness. Okay. And you can see that this is still very glossy. However, if we change the value here, if we make it lower, it's going to be even glossier. Or if we push this up, it's going to be making it a lot like rougher. So it's kind of like pushing the levels inside of Photoshop to get a more dynamic effect. So look at the difference by changing the roughness there. We're catching more light because it's a little bit less rough, and it should be giving a slightly different effect. Now, I can definitely tell if we grab our camera and we go back to a shot that we had like this one right here. I'm breaking symmetry a little bit. You guys remember on the initial ones, we had like very symmetrical approach. Now we're breaking a little bit of symmetry. But you can tell that, yes, we're seeing the leaves on the ground, but they're way too dark, right? So we can keep them as a sort of silhouette for the whole element, Or we can add a little bit of light, like this one right here. Like maybe these are like street lights, right? So let me show you how I would do this. We can maybe have a street light over here that's going to be helping me like visualize a little bit more of that stuff. So I'm going to duplicate this one as well, move it to this symmetrical area over here. And if we take a render now, you're going to see that we have two big lights right here. Now here's the trick. I'm going to do something really cool here. I'm going to go to this light right here, and I'm going to change the spread. The spread is how wide the light is actually shooting the rays. So by changing the spray, as you're about to see here, we're going to be focusing the light more on this specific area. I'm going to make it really, really, really small. And you can see now how this becomes pretty much like a spotlight that's shining right onto our elements. I'm of course going to be bringing this up. And I'm going to be pushing it forward a little bit so it's not touching the street as much. And you can see this gives us a really, really, really nice effect. One thing we can do here to create a little bit of more drama is I'm just going to push this to the side a little bit. Like this. And that way we get a very nice like leaves right there. I think they might be a little bit too big and they still look a little bit dark. I'm not sure if it's the normal map. Sometimes the normal maps get like or the normal get like locked or something. That's weird. Anyway, so this thing, I am gonna reduce the intensity. I am gonna use color temperature. And I'm gonna go for warmer tones. What that will do is it will change the way these things look over here. Or usually nowadays, most lights on the streets are a little bit more like LED lights. So we can have something like this. There we go. Maybe a little bit less. Like very subtle, very subtle. Let's try 17 on the exposure. That looks a little bit better. This one, of course, we're going to delete. And we're going to duplicate this one to this side. Now, I don't remember. Oh, that's all right. That's one of the issues. We're not seeing the Skydome light. Skydome light is very important. It's going to give us a lot of like global illumination. There we go. As you can see, we're going to get some warmer tones everywhere. I think we were missing that, like definitely missing that. So that should help a little bit with the guys right here. As you can see, we do get some sharp shadows, which are expected from the over like lamp that we have. Now, it seems like, I don't remember. It seems like we don't have, no, we do have the asphalt. Just a little bit too light. I will probably make this asphalt a little bit darker. Now, again, how can we modify the asphalt if we don't have the, like if we're just using a very basic like colors here? Well, first of all, we can try changing the roughness. So we have this slick alpha roughness. We are using a node, a substance node. So at any point we could go to the substance node and modify things over here. So for instance, I'm gonna decrease the color quite a bit. There we go. It's gonna be a lot darker. Then we need to bake the textures. So up here, I'm gonna say bake substance outputs. And now, if we render, we should have a really nice result right here. Now it's not showing. Another thing we could do is I can just break the connection here. Keep everything else, like keep the roughness, keep the like the normals and everything, and just like make this a lot darker. That I think is gonna help the overall scene. It's gonna make this thing look a little bit more in line. Again, panels, look through selected, and let's find the proper focus, which is gonna be something like that. And now if we render, gonna get a more like close-up shot of the whole thing. There we go. We're still missing the smoke, remember? I think one of the things that's making the whole elements look a little bit weird, like the leaves, I mean, is the scale. I think they're definitely a little bit too big. Some of them. I'm gonna make them smaller. But they're there just, or they should be there just to break up some of the effects, okay? Or some of the different distributions of our scene. Now that we have that, I think we can add more, like again, objects. I'm gonna do placeholders right now, just to get something and again populate the scene. But we're probably gonna be adding this. So I'm thinking like a metal barrel right there, Might not be a bad idea, like a trash can. Okay, that same trash can could be all the way on the back. We can see it right there. Might not even be visible, but it's gonna show. And then the like papers. I think papers was one of the things that I wanted to add, like people that place like billboards on the walls. So I'm gonna rotate this 90 degrees. Let's make this into a paper shape. Of course, we don't need all of this division, so I'm just gonna do one division. And we're gonna texture this later. I'm just gonna do something really fun here. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna duplicate several of them along this areas. And you might be like, that looks super horrible because it's very predictable, right? Like all of the elements, all of the papers are like very symmetrical. They're not really looking interesting at all. And I would agree. Of course I would agree. So I'm going to show you a trick. We've mentioned this one before, and if you've been watching this video for the past 20 minutes, then you're going to get the trick for free. A lot of people stop watching the video after like 4 or 5 minutes, and I know. We live in a time where attention span is very low, or tends to be quite low. But unfortunately, 3D has a lot of like going back and forth. It's unavoidable. So there we go. I'm going to grab all of these planes right here. And first of all, I'm going to freeze the transformations. And then I'm going to go to Bonus Tools. This is a plugin that you can download for free from Autodesk. You can just look for Bonus Tools in Google and you're going to have this. There's Modify, Randomize Transforms Basic. So let's start with a rotation. I want to rotate this randomly on only, in this case, only the x-axis. As you can see, that's going to give me a random rotation everywhere. And then I can also scale this. I can say, hey, I want some of them to go all the way to 80. Or actually, let's go to 70. And some of them to like 95. And we can do this one. We do want to do like scale and everything. And we do random scale. And we can do this a couple of different times, as you can see right there. And there we go. Get a nice like distribution right there. We can then Control D, like move them again a little bit. Let's say like right around there. And again, like right around there. And then I can grab all of them once more. And I can do another modify. I can do Bonus Tools, Modify, Randomize Transforms Basic. And now what I want to do is I actually want to move them in Y and Z, a minimum of 5 units and a maximum of 5 units. And if we do that, as you can see, they're going to be like modified and rotated and moved a little bit, like everywhere. And then we can random rotate again, only on X. Oh, sorry. We're going to rotate only on X. And we can do random rotations again. And then we can do another random move. Oh. Random move on only X and Y. Let's make it a little bit more extreme. So let's say 20, or we're going to do minus 20, and 20. And as you can see, things are going to start moving like in random patterns and ways. And there we go. Now we can go to Object World, and which is like we can just move a couple of these guys back into position, right? My God. Sorry about that, guys. There we go. Now, of course, the ideal thing would be to go to some of them, especially the ones that are overlapping, and just move them slightly so that they are not one on top of each other. Because we can have a little bit of a C competition, it's called, when two objects are in the same exact plane. They can compete against each other to see which one is displayed. And you can get a slightly slight error over there. But there we go. Now let's grab all of the planes. I'm gonna Control G to group them. Control D. And then we're gonna rotate this 180 degrees. And we're gonna push this like this. And it should be a slightly different pattern because it's a 180 degree rotation. You can again just like modify some of these guys to give them a slight different distribution. And now let's save that real quick. if we go to our render, all of those papers, eventually we're gonna have like a nice texture on them, and we're gonna have something that looks really, really cool. I've already done the like the light thing over here, the like a transient light or something. But look at how nice that thing's like breaks everything up. So now we finally bring in our volume, our devil ghost that we have right there. And we're gonna get a very nice like distribution here. Now I think, should we do like a paper spiral? Maya just crashed. Should we do a paper spiral going around the character? I think we can do that. I think it would be cool. Let me show you how I would do it. I know this is going a little bit longer than usual, but I think it's fun to showcase the whole process. It's kind of like a mini masterclass, right? If you liked it so far, make sure to like and comment. You guys know that really, really, really helps the channel. So go to our software. Good thing is we saved before this crash. That's why I constantly save. I know that Maya will sometimes just freak out and crash for whatever reason. So there we go. So what I'm gonna do here, because I do want to have this sort of like papers flying all over the place, is I'm gonna create a volume here representing this sort of like devil dust, the thing that we have on top of the character. So it's roughly like this. I'm gonna freeze the transformations on this thing, and to a pivot and everything. Let's go to, okay. And then I'm gonna model one paper. I'm gonna scale it a little bit more. I'm gonna remove some divisions, but not all of them. So we're gonna keep it like 4 divisions, I think is fine. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab this part right here, press V to go into soft selection. And I'm gonna give it sort of like a twisted look. Something like that. It's just like a crumbled paper, right? Something like this. You can make it a little bit more asymmetrical. There we go. Freeze transformation, very important. Let's scale it to the size of the papers that we want to be flying around the whole thing. Something like that, that's great. And then what I'm gonna do, again, freeze transformations, is I'm gonna select this object right here. I'm gonna go to Mesh. Mesh is a really, really cool plugin that we can do. And we can create a mesh network with that guy right there. So you can see it has this distribute node. I'm gonna go to distribute, and we're gonna change the distribution to mesh. And then on the input mesh, we're gonna grab, middle mouse drag this here. And as you can see, we're now gonna have papers distributed on that mesh right there. The distribution type is gonna be scatter. We can make this a lot more intense. It's gonna be, I want to have like a, let's do, just scatter is fine. As you can see, it's like it's having way more. I'm gonna turn on ambient occlusion so that you guys can see it. It's having more on the top than at the bottom. It's not exactly what I want. Can try vertex. If we do vertex, it's gonna go voxel. Oh no, don't crash. Oh, there you go. Wow, that's a lot. Oh, let's go scattering. I think scatter is a little bit better. Just gonna keep the rotation, something like that. There we go. Then on the node, on the mesh node, I'm gonna add a new transform. Transform. By the way, this thing we can actually hide. There we go. So now you can see all of the papers flying around. And then the transform, we can do. Actually, it's not the random. It's not the transform. I'm gonna delete. It's a random. It's random. There we go. So we can do random rotation on the y-axis, on the x-axis, on the z-axis. So papers are like flying everywhere, as you can see. We can change the position on X. We can change the position on Y. We can change the position on Z. We can even do like right now I have absolute scale. So we can do, let's do uniform scale. So we can randomize the scale a little bit right there. It's going to create a very, very interesting distribution of papers just like floating around. Now what I want to do is I'm going to select this mesh, repro mesh that we have right here. And I'm just going to duplicate this, Control D. When we do that, what happens is this repro mesh, which is the mesh node, we can actually hide it. And this is geometry. So if I have a lot of this guys, I can just like literally delete a lot of the guys up here, which don't look that bad. Or I can literally go into the faces and just like move them around. So we have a cleaner look on the character, right? And remember, all of these papers, next time we come back to this project, I'll add like some text and just like information, like a newspaper or something, so it looks interesting. But there we go. Now we have papers flying all around the character. Let's save real quick. And I'm gonna try to render again. Let's bring the, well, let's first do a normal render without the fog. So I want to make sure that there we go. So as you can see, the papers are framing the character quite nicely. It's great. It feels like my zoom on the camera is not properly done. So I'm gonna select the camera, say panels, look to selected, select the little face, and as you can see, it's 1300 units away. And if I go to the camera, we need to make sure that our depth of field on the Arnold tab is set to 1300 units away. There we go. That's one extra zero. There we go, 1300. So now the focus point should be the face, and everything else should be slightly like blurred. Cool. I really like the flying papers all over the place. Let's save once more. Actually gonna do an increment and save. So file, increment and save. There we go. Let's bring the volume back. I'm gonna close that and just reopen it. Hopefully it will do it. I hope it has enough strength to do it. It seems like it will. So yeah, that's it guys. Long video today, but I wanted to keep going on this environment a little bit. Again, couple more, maybe one or two more videos. I thought one more video was going to be enough, but it definitely shows that we need a little bit more things right here. So I'm going to stop the video right here. If you liked it, please let us know in the comments. This like shot is coming out really nicely, I think. Hope you guys are enjoying this little project right here. And yeah, stay tuned for more news, more information. All of the submissions have already been submitted for the creature contest. I'm going to be announcing the winners on Friday. So make sure to leave a like, share, and subscribe if you want to know who wins. Thank you very much, guys. I'll see you back on the next one. Bye-bye.